went on a journey of, I would like to call it convergence, back to 0 point. It is not that you have left the place that you just went to. As we were saying earlier on, it is a matter of having ourselves conscious about that, consciously and deliberately going on such a journey. Okay, yes, and this is something that it is in my estimation, you can agree with me or not, that this is what we're called to do in this time and space. But let us look at divergence, the exhale. How did we get from being a part of Source, and we are still, but being conscious of this, being in full consciousness of this dimension or this wholeness that we are this, whether the cell within Source, and yet we are Source, this whole mystery, this thing that is beyond human logic. We're going to talk about the divergence part, the exhale, coming or spreading away from that 0 point. And this is not to suggest that this is something bad. This is something that we decided to have, an experience we decided to have. Now, I must go back to the point of convergence, divergence. It is on an individual level, and us going through this journey that we did, it's really an individual consciousness, but it is not about, in this paradigm, it is not about individuality only. It is also looking at ourselves and our consciousness as a human being, and as well the collective consciousness or family, the consciousness of the family that we chose to abide in, the consciousness of the community, the nation, the world, the galaxy, the universe, the omniverse, everything expanding back out to Source. Because remember, I said Source being that little circle in the 0 point is not in the 0 point in the circle is not to suggest that you're going into something tiny. Rather, it's actually the opposite. You're expanding outward. This is like a contraction, being in this individual state, individual consciousness. So convergence is not only on that plane, on that dimension, but it is also collective. So we're talking about moving away. Why did that happen in the first place? Why would we come from the bosom of perfection, of bliss, of ecstasy, of joy, why did we come out of the Garden of Eden, if you like? And no, I'm not going into that story today. But what was this journey about? Some of us have this. We have all probably gone through the notion, why am I here? Why did I choose to be here? Or who put me here? I don't want to be here anymore. This is not where I belong. I identify with other places, spaces, being, times, cultures. Let's talk about time, past, present, and future. Now, this is a very linear concept, meaning it's a straight line. Time is like a straight line or circular and repeating. But the concept of time and past and present and future is a concept that resides only in certain dimensions. Have you ever heard of the phrase out of time? Yes, that is so. So time is a construct of humanity and of all beings that fall under that paradigm. And so before we had today's call, I had the competition about what have you seen, what do you identify as past lives? I've had many questions where that is concerned. Past life, etc. But let's look at that. Why did we decide to move away and expand and explore and become individualized cells? So suddenly you're not just, think of yourself as a cell. the individual you now, not the whole or the collective. You are this cell in this body called source. If you want to use your imagination, use your imagination. Suddenly, instead of you looking at yourself as a unit of the whole, you didn't even see yourself as a distinguishable part. You saw yourself as source at one point. And then the more we diverge from 0 point, it suddenly became me. Suddenly you now know that I am a cell different from that other cell over there called Umi, different from that other cell called Kairos. That is a consciousness that we take on with diverging and exploring and expanding or contracting, whatever way you want to look at it. But this is the whole concept for me as past, present, and future. I'm going to ask some of you to share, because I know some of you have ideas of past timelines. But before we get there, I'm going to ask you again to think of it, to follow me on this other journey, and not meditative, but just think of you now in that corporeal form, in your physical form, as an aspect of you. Meaning, yes, you're India sitting on a chair at a particular location, but that is just one expression of who you are. Many people will find that concept ridiculous. Oh, there's nothing here but me, and when I die, I just disappear, and that's it. That is not so. I am saying this from a place of knowing that I don't expect anyone to, or everyone who is listening to, necessarily share, but I can only share what it is that I know. You sitting there in your chair is an expression of you. So having these ideas, and some people have these ideas and think, oh, I'm just daydreaming, or I've had dreams, or I've had visions of being somewhere in Australia. The Aborigines, I've been there. I know this instrument that they use. I hear that all the time. Where am I getting these memories from? It's not something that you learned in school. It's not anything that you read about. Perhaps you think, oh, it's a television. So we have that experience. We have even had experiences of, I'm from another planet. I don't know. I watched the show John Carter, and suddenly, some of the things that are being said in the show, I know these things. This looks familiar. How do I know all of this? I see another movie, and I know a lot of us, some of us present, I know personally, have a great association with Egypt, or the pyramids, the pharaohs, or the lifestyle, or the dress, or even the mystery schools. We have this identification. Where is that coming from? Is that really real? Is that really true?